There's a moment every entrepreneur hits. You're working harder than you ever have. The calendar is packed, but the inbox feels endless. That to-do list never gets shorter, and somehow the business still isn't growing the way that it should be. But the problem isn't effort. The problem is leverage. Welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and every week I'm sitting down with founders and top performers who have found that lever. The hire, the system, that mindset shift that changed everything. This show is for the business owner who's ready to stop being the bottleneck and start being the architect. Let's get into it. Another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I am your host, John Davidson, and I am excited to be joined by a wonderful guest today, Dana Flanagan. She is the founder of Authority Architect, an executive authority herself, and a growth strategist. Dana, thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much, John. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I am excited to dig into a little bit of your journey, 25 years in real estate, but I am even more excited to talk about what you are currently building. So I believe what you're building is called Capital Society,
Yes.
if I have that correctly.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are you building and why is it so impactful?
Yeah. So my business, The Authority Architect, has always been, the pillars are helping businesses with their brand strategy, connecting them to the right capital, and helping them with getting in the right rooms, getting in front of the right people, and making those purposeful connections to move their business forward. And I found that I go to a lot of events, right? So I go to a lot of events, I meet a lot of people, and regardless of whether or not these are executive CEOs, founders, or businesses just starting, people don't know how to network. Some people do, but despite the how the event is laid out, if it's a flashy event, if it's a conference, it doesn't really matter. People go there, they collect business cards, they make contacts, and then they leave saying, I didn't get anything from that event. And
Right.
that's because they're not purposefully seeking out the right opportunities and letting people know the value that they bring to the table. So I created the Capital Society, and this is relationship capital, opportunity capital, financial capital. It's a conglomeration of things, because I want people to come into this group and say, oh my gosh, I know so and so, he needs to meet this person. And myself, as the founder and creator, I'm going to take an intake form of every single person that comes in. I'm going to go over their business, find out what their bottlenecks are, find out who they need to meet and what's going to help them move their business forward. And I'm going to introduce them to the right people.
Yeah.
So it's those personal introductions and those purposeful introductions that are going to help the members be able to move their business forward instead of just joining another group and hoping the chemistry happens.
Yeah, so you're really curating this and really gaining a great understanding of each member. And then being a master connector yourself, you have the ability to really understand who complements who, and then making a warm introduction between two people
Exactly.
who want to be introduced, which is a huge thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I love connecting people. It's one of my favorite things. Our minds probably work the same way, where I'll talk to somebody over here and I'll hear what they do and I'll say, "Oh,
Yeah.
you got to meet so and so over here," but
Yeah.
so and so over here may not want their contact information out there, right? And
Right.
so when the value of a warm intro compared to a cold intro is huge, and it sounds like you're building something incredible there. Question for you about networking. So
Mm-hmm.
you're an expert networker. What do most people get wrong at
Mm-hmm.
these events when they show up and they have one expectation, but they leave and they say, "Hey, that conference didn't do anything for me."
Yeah. So they go into the event looking for who can I meet, which great, you should go to the events thinking who can I meet, but then they info dump all over people. They talk about themselves the entire time, and they never get to actually know what the other person does and what's the reason that they're there. How can I bring value to you? You get a lot of people that come in and they go, I'm so and so, and this is my business, and this is what we do, and we did this much in volume last year, and blah blah. Have you ever gotten in front of somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, and they don't stop to take a breath to actually say, hey, what about you? What do you do? Or what are you looking for right in your business right now? How can I bring value to you? So that is like a huge mistake. I also think people play the how many people can I meet here game, where they go around and they collect business cards. And I know they're all digital most of the time now, but let's just pretend that you're collecting people's actual business cards. You put them in your pocket, you get home, and then you don't follow up, right? That you just don't follow up at all. And nobody calls you because you didn't make an impact on anybody. And so now you're saying that event did nothing for me. It was a waste of my time. And that's not necessarily true. Making a contact is not the same as building a relationship and rapport with somebody, and therefore building that trust between. So you're better off meeting less people, having a more purposeful conversation, getting to know. And there are times where you're going to meet somebody and you're like, I have no idea what this person does, and this is completely not relevant to what I do.
Yeah,
So you move on. Nice
that's
meeting
right.
you. Move on to the next person. It's kind of like dating, right? I
That's right.
I, I
Speed
really
dating, right?
yeah, it really is. I mean, I got divorced in my right around four, right around, it was like 39 when I got divorced, and I went through the dating scene. And it's the same thing. You can meet nice people, go on a date with them and realize they're not a match, and know
That's
that
right.
you're not going to go on another date, but that you don't have to be mean to them or anything. You can just get to know them. Well, it was pleasure meeting you, and you move on. It's not a match, right? So
That's
I
right.
look at it that way, as we're really trying to curate those right relationships, and people tend to like go to all these events and just try to do everything, and it's going to get them nowhere unless they're actually being purposeful about growing that relationship. And it takes effort, just like anything else.
Yeah, so I'm hearing from you, more of a quality than quantity
Hmm.
approach and more
Yeah.
listening than giving your well-practiced elevator pitch. So those who are really kind of at the beginning stages of this and don't really know the right questions to ask. When
Hmm.
you're at an event there, what are some questions that you ask Dana when you first meet somebody at an event like this?
Sure. And so this kind of plays off what I just mentioned, which is ask the other people what they do. You don't have to worry about saying the right thing or how should I pitch my business. Ask somebody else about them. Ask them,
Yeah,
what are you looking for in your business right now? What are you focused on? How can I bring value to you? If there's one thing that you'd like to take away from this event, what does that look like? So get them talking. People love to talk about themselves. If you get them going, they're going to start to go off on a tangent about their business. And
yeah,
I would say, if you're going to go to an event, go to something where it sort of warms the audience up. And by that, I mean, go to something that has like maybe a little bit of a conference before, like for instance, like a panel of
okay.
speakers. So you're
Hmm.
sitting in the audience, maybe you get there, maybe you're by yourself, you're a little bit nervous, sit in the audience. Then you're going to meet your neighbor sitting next to you, or you're going to start to meet some of the speakers as they announce them, and you're going to feel more comfortable as the room, they start to, usually they'll clue in the audience that people are raising their hand, they've got you clapping, they've got you participating, so now you don't feel like you're there by yourself. And then after the event, people usually mingle, or maybe there's a cocktail party after or something. So
Right.
if you're afraid to go to an event, I wouldn't recommend going to like a cocktail 5 to 7 event where you're by yourself and everyone seems to be in little groups. That's probably going to be a little bit more overwhelming. Go to something that has like, the 5 pillars, the 5 key pillars to move your business forward in 2026, like something like that, where you're in an audience for 3, 4 hours, and then you get comfortable, and then you actually feel like you have friends from
Right.
that day, right? So that's what I would recommend.
And you have something immediately common to talk about, right?
Yes,
Hey, what did you think about that panel? Or I thought this was
exactly.
interesting. What was your take on that? And yeah,
Exactly.
that's really
And the
great insight
speakers,
there.
the speakers a lot of times at these events are way more nervous than you are. And even though
Good
you
point.
may think that they're up on a pedestal because they're a speaker, but much of the time they're just as nervous, if not more. So go up to them and say, "Oh my gosh, I really loved your talk. What you said about XYZ really resonated with me." And therefore, I mean, they're there promoting their business and adding
Yeah,
value for whatever it is that they're an expert on. So talk to them about how maybe you can work together. And it can be as simple as that.
that's a great point. Not to avoid the speaker. I've spoken at a number of panels, and when I go there, hey, I'm there to meet people too.
Yeah,
And you're on that stage and you're speaking out, but like you don't have that ability to get the in-person feedback until somebody engages you or you get down on the floor or at that cocktail party afterwards.
sure.
So that is great advice. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I
Yeah.
want to get into a little bit of your background that led up to you
Mhm.
starting your personal brand and about to launch the Capital Society here. So you were in the real estate business for
Mhm.
about 25 years.
Yeah.
What we don't need to waste a lot of time on,
Mhm.
how you
Yeah.
successfully sold houses or anything like that.
Yeah.
But help me understand, what did you learn from that experience that really helped you take this next step and set you up perfectly for what you're doing now?
Sure. So I still am I'm in real estate as a agent attractor. So I help brokerages scale. And I'm specifically the brokerage that I'm with. I bring agents in and I help develop them. But I don't sell houses anymore. And what it is really, again, it's building that trust with your clients and getting them to be known as the authority in your market. So I became the number one agent in my town. That was from brand recognition and brand awareness and doing a good job for your clients. Your clients then recommend you, and people look at you as a trusted resource in that particular industry. So, but your business becomes referrals, right? So, that led to me going to a lot of networking events and understanding that a personal brand can take you further than any sort of advertising or any buying any sort of advertising can do is really creating that credibility. You can be visible online, but you need to create that credibility that builds trust with your audience so they know, like, and trust you through the screen even if they don't know you, and then they think of you as the obvious choice when they need to buy or sell or whatever it is that you're doing. And that just carried over into what I'm doing now with business consulting and really like matchmaking for businesses.
Yeah. So for those listening and they're thinking, well, I thought it was all about visibility. I'm trying to drive
Yeah.
this awareness, people see me everywhere, SEO, top of mind on the social platforms. What is the difference between visibility and credibility?
Visibility can be bought and credibility needs to be earned. And especially in the day and age that we're in, visibility is everywhere. You can pay to be on platforms, you can be on podcasts, you can be on social media in front of everybody with whatever you want to portray yourself as. The credibility needs to be earned, and that trust is not transferable. So
Mm,
when people, again, know, like, and trust you, the visibility will only get you so far. That's where a lot of people make a mistake. I'm everywhere, but they don't spend time speaking to anyone and talking to anyone. And before we started this podcast here, we were talking a little bit about our businesses, and our brains were going, oh my gosh, how can we help each other? That's always where my brain goes. But if I just said, oh, thanks, Sean, for putting me on your podcast, see you later, and I just blasted it everywhere, and you're just using people for their networks, after a while people catch on, they're onto you, and
right.
and and they don't want to do business with you because you don't give anything back and you don't bring any value, and those people will start to burn those bridges slowly but surely.
Yeah, and it seems like with technology, it's easier to be visible all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that genuine intent, that personal impact that people are making, it really helps you stand out from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than like, oh yeah, I just use ChatGPT to create all these reels and put a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
stuff up. But are you actually having those personal conversations and taking the time to really
Yeah.
get to know somebody's needs and how you can help them, right?
And it's time consuming. I mean, when I meet people, I mean, LinkedIn has been such a great tool for me. You can connect with people, but if you don't take it a step further and vet the people, I mean, we don't want to be jumping on calls with every single person that messages us. That is going to get you
Right.
nowhere. But making sure that our business is aligned, that it makes sense for us to get on a call, and then actually getting on a call and getting on a Zoom, and people will say, "Oh, I don't have time for that." Agreed, but I also, it's also like I have time to meet with a couple people. I mean, I try to meet with like maybe one person a day, at least on average. So that's 5 people a week at least. And some days I'll meet with two or three, and some days I won't meet with anybody. It just depends on my day. But I always am getting on Zooms with people and going, or a quick conversation like you and I had, where let me send you some follow-up information. Let's set up another call. And now it starts to go down the road of maybe we'll actually do business together. So you
Right.
have to, in order to get that business and start to build that rapport, you have to go to the events, you have to get on the calls. You can't just be, I call it like posting and ghosting. You can post all you want about yourself, but if you don't have any credibility and nobody like says, "Oh my gosh, Dana, I met her. She gave me like 3 people. She's awesome." Like those are the
Mhm.
kind of relationships that you're going to get. I had a call yesterday with a guy who has hired these PR companies, and we do PR and media. And he's like, I literally just think I threw my money out the window. They were horrible. And because he didn't know them, he thought they were going to get him on all these publications. But what happens is if they're just throwing PR out there for the sake of PR and it's not purposely going after the types of clientele that you want, it's wasted money. So
Yeah.
instead, he came to me and I was recommended to him by two different people. He came to me and said, all right, you were recommended by two people. I got to trust that this is going to work. And I told him, I said, I'm going to send you a proposal. It's all personalized. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, we can go through and tweak it if it doesn't
Hmm.
meet your budget or if you want to do more. But at least he feels like I'm not, giving him a sack of potatoes, right? Like I also don't want to look like a jerk because he's in a couple high-end groups that I'm in. And I want to do a really great job for him because I want him to say Dana was awesome, right? Not,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, she literally ripped me off and did nothing. Like I would never want somebody to say that. So
Right.
when you have that relationship capital is so important in moving your business forward.
Yeah, and the word I'm pulling from that is the word purposeful.
Yeah,
Really being purposeful with each individual who matches in a complementary way. Well, you mentioned something there at the end, with relationship capital. So, can you help explain the difference between, a large network, which, many successful people have large networks. What is the difference between a large network and having relationship capital?
sure. So I mean, people can say, "Oh, I know this person," or I'm connected with so and so. It could be through social media. Maybe you've commented on their post. That's kind of like your network. Relationship capital is more so like who knows, likes, and trusts you. Like who could I call up today and be confident and say, you need to meet John. He's awesome. I've been on his show. I talked to, I understand what he does. He's got the solution for your problem. And so that's the kind of where if I'm calling you, you're going to answer the phone. If you see me calling you, I know you're gonna pick up the phone or at least call me back if you're busy, right? That's
Right.
where I have the rapport that people know if I'm calling, I've got something for them, or I've got a question,
Mm,
or I have something of value I want to offer them, or maybe I do need something, like maybe I need to know if, a few things about their business to recommend them, but they know that I'm not just calling them to blow smoke and that I actually care. And so that's the relationship capital is that it might be a year since you've spoken, but you know that this person, if they invite you to an event and you can make it, you'll go. And so those are the kind of people that you want in the room with you when you're trying to build your business.
that's a great point. It's not how often, someone's interacting with you, but it's knowing every time that you do interact with this person, value is
Yeah,
going to result. Yeah.
always
Well,
lead with value.
I want to get into a little bit more of your insights here, but before we do that, let's listen to a short message from our sponsor, Sphere Rocket.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, we're back here with Dana Flanagan. She is the founder of Authority Architect, is a growth strategist, and is sharing all of her insights on networking, really building a relationship capital, and especially what she is building at Capital Society. Now, Dana, we're just talking about relationship capital, and a big part of that comes down to credibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share with me what are the 5 C's of credibility?
Yeah. So you've got character. Who are you when nobody's watching, right? Do you say, do you do what you say you're going to do?
Mhm.
Consistency. Are you consistent? Are you showing up online? Are you constantly staying in front of people? Are you consistent with your post? Are you consistent across the board with your what you say you're going to do, what your visibility looks like? You've also got community, like who do you surround yourself with? So who's in your circle? Contribution. Always lead with value. So what are you when you're coming into the room? Are you asking for more than you're giving, right? And there's a couple different um, other C's that I use, but we've got character, credibility, community, contribution, and collaboration. So are you collaborating with people? Like, are you asking them to do business? Are you finding a way for you to work together? If it's not you, then are you trying to find somebody else to stitch into the mix from somebody else that right? Coming from contribution. So, and there's so many like more C's that I can add in there, but those are like the top five. And I usually speak about each one of those when I go to an event, when we talk about visibility versus credibility. And really, there's so much more that goes into that, but it really comes down to like your character, like who are you at the core, right? Like when nobody's watching, what are you doing? What you said you're going to do? Are you a good person?
Yeah.
Because energy follows energy, right? So if it's negative energy, that's what you're going to get. And if you're coming in there, what's in it for me? And I didn't get anything from this. I mean, you're not going to see an immediate result from things most of the time, right? I mean, you're not going to see an immediate result most of the time. Things take time to percolate, and you sort of have to kick that can down the road for a little while.
Yeah. And I really like the collaborative C in there. And, one of my favorite studies, a friend of mine shared this with me years ago, was a study of over time, who is more successful? Is it givers or is it takers?
Mm.
Right? And so our emotions would love to say, oh, of course it's givers, because it feels like, being a giver is the right thing to do. And of course, what goes around comes around, et cetera. But sometimes our mind says, boy, there's some successful jerks out there,
Yeah, there
And
are.
so, there's some people stepping over the dead bodies to get to the top of the ladder, what have you.
Yeah.
And so we might say, well, it kind of seems like the takers, especially on a bad day. And so this study, it was done over decades, I believe. And so the result was givers do achieve more over time, but with
Over
one
time.
important caveat. One important caveat, which is only when they're surrounded by other givers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so if you are a giver and you're surrounded by takers, people just can be taken from you all day
Yes.
long.
Right.
Right? And so
I've made that mistake too. I mean, that has happened. And I realized, oh boy, I'm in the wrong room, right? Where
that's right.
people just keep taking, and I'm like, okay, when is it my turn? Yes, definitely. You definitely have to read the room and read the energy for sure.
Yeah, and so I try myself to have an others first mindset. How can I think of other people? But you also have to make sure that you're surrounded by people who have that same mindset. And so that gets into the right rooms, right? How can I get into a room where I'm surrounded by givers rather than takers? In your experience, how have you been able to find the right rooms to be in? And what do you contribute once you're in those rooms?
How have I been able to find the right rooms? I think it's surrounding yourself with people that are just like you. I mean, it's like birds of a feather flock together, and eventually those takers weed themselves out. And that is what has happened in my business and my life. The people that have maybe made those introductions and said, hey, you should come to this event, or we're having this event, would you like to speak? They're the same type of people. You find that everybody is really, they're just really value focused. Like, what can I bring? They all say the same thing. What can I bring to the table for you? And they're all really about like faith, family, health, and relationships too, or like the four pillars that a lot of them are about. And so it's almost like we we live the same way. And it's been so important for me to be able to surround myself with those types of people. I have been taken advantage of where people have leveraged my relationships and gone behind my back, and I've gotten cut out of deals. I've lost money over it.
Yeah, same.
Um, And so what do I bring to the room? I want people to be able to say, oh my gosh, I met Dana and she was a sweetheart and she made these introductions for me, and walk away with not only friends, but long-term business relationships. Not everybody's going to have a business deal for you, and that's okay. But just, hey, you know what? I met this guy out in Utah a couple weeks ago, and you should talk to him, and I'll connect them on an
That's
email.
great.
Hopefully, it'll move something forward. And I always want people to be able to walk away from a speaker. I want people to walk away with actionable items that they can implement into their business that day. Because there, again, there's a lot of times where you'll go to events and speakers, if they're not properly trained, they'll talk about themselves. Oh, I did this and I did this and this is what
Right.
happened to me and blah, blah, blah. And it's fine to tell a story, but I always like to lead or finish with, these are the things that you can implement today. You're going to do X, Y, Z, and take a note with this. And I want them to be able to walk away and go, oh my gosh, this was so great. That really helped me. And so that's the value that I try to bring. And I
Mm.
always try to support and promote that event. Or if somebody's there and they've got something that they need help with support and promotion, I'm always there to support.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Well, this podcast is titled The Leverage Podcast. And so our definition of leverage is really, what is it in your business that's been a multiplier effect? And, that can be a system, it can be relationships, it can be a team, it can be a mindset. What have you found throughout your career to be the greatest source of leverage in your business?
Oh gosh. Well, in my real estate business, I had a transaction coordinator, which
Hmm.
is kind of like a virtual assistant.
I hear that one a
Sh
lot. Every
yeah.
real estate is like, get that transaction coordinator, it'll
Oh
change your
my
life.
gosh, she changed my life. I had her for 7 years. It just allowed me to be out in front of more people on more listing appointments and things like that. Now, honestly, it's the automations and the AI support that I have that has been able to help me move my business forward, be able to do things faster. And I do have my head of operations who does a lot of like my funnels and my website stuff that all connects behind the scenes, and that's been huge. But honestly, like AI in my business in the last like couple years has been huge. And I mean, I probably don't even know on the surface of like what it truly actually can do, but as
Oh
from
yeah.
a time saver standpoint, it's been like a game changer.
Yeah, I'm curious how you use AI. For me personally, I mean obviously it can help you be more efficient with tasks, but I personally find that being able to learn stuff
Yeah,
very,
right.
very quickly, I don't have to have the answers, I just have to have the questions, and having a few questions can lead me to more questions, and then,
Yeah,
with a couple decades of experience now, I can, become a maybe not an expert, but very informed individual on new subjects all the time. What
yeah.
are some of the benefits that you've experienced from utilizing AI?
I have a special bot that my operations person made for me. So it's got like the
Mhm.
mind of a very, very, very successful entrepreneur. And I use it as a coach, which
Interesting.
so
Okay.
so how what I mean, I use it for a lot of things, but one of the
Yeah.
things that I do is I run my transcripts through it after I get off a sales call with a client.
Yep.
And it corrects me where it thinks I went on too long about this, or
Huh.
rated this call a 9 out of a 10, like it rates me. And it really helps me understand where I could improve. And so again, I
Cool.
mean, is it 100% accurate? I don't know, but I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned a ton about myself, about how to run a call, what I said. I mean, I think when I did my first, I'll go back to, I have a certificate in public speaking now. And so I hired a public speaking coach, went through a training, and I know now how to watch for like filler words and things like that. I think I said like a filler word like 102 times in an hour webinar. Like when
Oh
I
wow. Yeah.
first, before I did
Of
like,
course. Yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I really did that. I was like, there's no way. And I went back and listened to it and I was like, oh my gosh. And a lot of people do it and they don't even really realize
Yes.
they're doing it. So I've learned so much about myself through AI, and that's really what it would cost you for a coach or to have somebody critiquing your calls or something like that. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
it's gold for me.
That is so smart. I've been focused on learning all these other things outside of myself, but self-reflection is so important.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult for all of us to accurately self-reflect because we're just naturally biased because it's us, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's a great insight. I'm going to start
Yeah.
applying that to some of my calls here.
Yeah.
Well, I just have a couple more questions for you here, Dana, and I really appreciate all your insights that you're sharing. One question is, when it's all said and done, when it's retiring time and you're setting off on the lake,
Mhm.
what do you want people to remember about what you're building and the impact that you're having?
Oh gosh. Well, I look at myself as I'm never going to retire because I love to work and I don't have children. So for me, it's like, I just want to live life to the fullest and I want to be able to, um, be healthy enough to be able to like do the fun adventures and the sports that I love to do for as
Yeah.
long as I possibly can. But I really want people to just be glad that they had met me and think that I made an impact on their life and hopefully change their business or their perspective on something and just left them feeling better about either a situation or a circumstance than they did before they met me or talked to me or their business or whatever it is that we interacted about. um so yeah, I mean, I think that I'll be working. I'd love to have my company, more running with leverage, um, for a long time, and maybe be able to step back out of the day to day.
Mhm.
But I don't think I ever. I mean, I can't ever just see myself like fully retiring. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll think differently in 30 years. You know?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe once you're out of the business and you're enjoying some of the fruits of the labor a little bit
Yeah.
more, you'll be like, I kind of like this,
Yeah. Right.
Maybe I'll
Right.
step out. Well, for those listening, final question here for you, Dana, and are thinking, wow, this Capital Society sounds awesome. I would love to get involved. I would
Mhm.
love to work with Dana and, find these warm introductions to other great, credible people who can help my business. How can people get in touch with you in the ways that you'd like them to?
Sure. So the Capital Society is right now we just have a waiting list. The website, I literally think it's going to be done tomorrow, but I am going to give you the website. It's joincapitalsociety.com. It is not up yet, but if you click on it and it's up, then you're hearing this and it's already active. That is where you'll want to go to apply. It is a invite only, so we do kind of just go through, make sure that you're a good fit for the society. And then if you want to send me an email, it's dana@danaflanagan.com. Just let me know if you'd like to be, if it's the website's not up by the time of this airing, just send me an email. Let me know you'd like to be added to the wait list. And then that is the website that you would go to, joincapitalsociety.com, in order to apply.
Fantastic. Well, I so appreciate you, Dana, joining me today, sharing so many insights on networking, on credibility, on relationship capital, and all the things and how people can get involved with you on your new initiative. Thank you again for joining me today on the Leverage Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.